we are live. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me again on another Digital Jamaica Live. And this morning, we have some very special guests that are going to be on the show because we're talking about ride sharing, ride hailing. Who's going to win the market, the local market in terms of ride share? We have a lot of innovation happening in the taxi industry locally. Some are very welcome changes, some not so welcome. Some people are not so happy about some of the things that have been happening in the local taxi industry and how it has been affecting the local players, especially when the big international, multinational players come on the scene. That can cause some disruptions, and there has been a lot of talk about it. And of course, we are a show that talks about technology and the digital culture, the growing digital culture in Jamaica. So this is something that we definitely had to talk about. Quick disclaimer. Quick disclaimer. I'm just gonna put this out there. Like Issa Rae, I'm for everybody Jamaican. Okay, I'm all about the local players and supporting the local players. But I do understand why Jamaicans would give these non-local players a chance because we've been scarred. We've been scarred. We have generational trauma, right? And so when the new players come on the scene, especially non-local new players, we tend to gravitate towards that. Even if it's just in the first instance, just to test it out to see what it's about. We tend to come back usually, but we'll test it out and see what's about. But today we're talking about it, and we have Ingrid Riley joining us as well. We have Olivia Lindsay. She is the CEO of 876 on the go, and you'll find out exactly why she's here shortly, because when we're having these conversations, we need to have fulsome conversations so you can have a pretty good picture of what exactly is happening and who the players are. And I'm sure there's some things that are going to be said this morning that's going to surprise you, because it surprised me when I was doing the research, right? But before we jump into it, just a quick word from our sponsor, or a quick word about our sponsor, because without G5, this show would be possible because, guys, believe it or not, it is not cheap to produce a live stream. It is not. All right. So thanks to G5 Cybersecurity for sponsoring the show. G5 Cybersecurity, protecting your businesses from cybersecurity breach and ensuring that you are compliant with the Local Data Protection Act and with the GDPR. A lot of people think that their small websites are immune to cyber attacks. They are not. Myself have been having issues with it over some time, because persons have been spamming my forms on my website. And so, of course, I turned to G5 Cybersecurity and I was able to get some help on that. They're very affordable and it's a local brand. So if you are interested in compliance and making sure that your website is secured, definitely check them out at www.g5cybersecurity.com. So with that said, we're going to jump straight into the conversation. And the first person I'm going to bring on is Ingrid Riley. At this point, who doesn't know? I mean, if you don't know Ingrid Riley, what rock are you living on? Whether you're in tech or not in tech, she's like ubiquitous at this point, right? She is an award-winning digital media entrepreneur, syndicated tech and business blogger, podcaster, event producer, an investor. I don't see the word innovator, but she definitely is an innovator. She is the person behind Silicon Carib, the trailblazing and award-winning digital media and events brand that kickstarted the tech startup scene in Jamaica, hence the innovator part. And she helps Caribbean entrepreneurs and executives get smarter about tech and business by providing them with information, education, and community. I see no mention here of Kingston Beta, but Kingston Beta was a huge turning point in terms of our foray into the tech and digital scene, and that was also started by Ingrid Riley. And Kingston Beta is actually back. In fact, the next meetup is tomorrow at the Victoria Mutual Building, so get into it, okay? So we're bringing Ingrid on. Good morning, Ingrid.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for
Is
that introduction.
Yes. You know, you have to introduce you properly because you have so much accolades and so much things happening. And to be honest, without somebody like you having vision, we kind of wouldn't be where we are today in a lot of respects in tech. So we'll have to give you your flowers.
Thank
That's what
you.
they
Thank
say,
you. I
right?
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Right. So, Ingrid, I came across an article of yours a
Mm-hmm.
couple weeks ago, and you were talking about the rideshare battles, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is so serendipitous because I just had a conversation about it, and I decided that this is something I wanted to talk about. And then I came
Mm-hmm.
across your article. What made you write that article?
Having I took my first Uber ride in March of 2013, and that
Yeah.
was in Atlanta. In Jamaica, I took my first Uber ride summer last year, and they had already been basically operating in the market for maybe since March, right? But
Right.
summer was really kind of where a lot of people were doing things because that's when we were started to go out.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm an investigative reporter. That's my past. And I like to be on the ground doing things. So I was basically taking the Uber to see what it was like here in Jamaica, taking it to the gym, taking it to the supermarket. And then, I knew that eventually I knew that Quick Cart is going to come into the market. And I heard InDriver was making its second foray in the market. And I knew about 876 on the go. I knew about Get There. And so when Uber celebrated its first anniversary here a couple months ago, and they put out a lot of data in terms of how many over 200,000 rides, 14,000 over 14,000 customers, and of course I like to connect the dots. So I was kind of
Right.
like connecting the dots and seeing, okay, what exactly is the status of things right now with the current taxi industry doing its thing as it has always done, and
Right.
then these now technology enabled versions of transportation now available to customers, and it was all the data coming in. So it's kind of like collecting all the dots, and they said, okay, my God, with all this interesting things happening, who is going to win, and is it too early to
To make predictions.
make predictions? I'm not Nostradamus, but it was just kind of like being my usual cheeky self, trying to gather all the data as I could that was available at that time, and putting it out for discussion and debate as usual on my blog. So yeah.
But Ingrid, I read through it and I was like reading through. I was like, who does she think is gonna win? And then you go, I'm not Nostradamus. I was
Yeah,
like,
no.
girl, I was waiting. I was waiting
but
for
I
you
did
to tell me
say,
something.
but I did say that I'm a capitalist, right? Right. In
Right.
fact, right now I've moved into to being a venture capitalist, right? That's a latest move over the last few weeks, and so I'm very much into capitalists, and I believe that um, he
What the
or she
market should
who
decide.
correct, and he or she who knows the customer best and know how to serve that customer best should win. And
All right.
while without question I'm Jamaican and I'm Caribbean, and I do want a local um, brand to win without
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
As a customer, I want the best service,
Sure.
right? And so those are the two opinions that I hold
Juxtaposition.
that at
Yeah.
the same time. So it was just out of that kind of a curiosity, I just kind of like put all my, and I was just like, because I usually my nosy self every time I'm traveling with a Uber driver, I'm there interviewing them, right? I was like, really? So how long have you been doing this? Really? So how you like it? So what do you think is wrong with it? And that's why I was getting all this juicy piece of information. I mean,
Right.
when the app was giving issues, just around the other day, and I couldn't book a ride for like weeks upon weeks, and I put it out on Twitter. I was like, somebody is messing with this app locally.
I saw. I
Uber people
saw.
need to come down and deal with their shit, right? And they did come down, right? So the
And
Uber people
did they
came.
deal with it though?
Well, the app is working beautifully, but and then they met with the drivers. But here's what's happened during that time when I still believe, don't quote me and do not try to sue me. This is allegedly.
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 Ingrid, before you go to Uber and what you believe, I want you
Yes.
to hold that point and I want you to remember that point because I prepared a presentation because your
Okay.
girl is a teacher. So I
Yes.
like presentations. Yes.
Damn. Go on, girl.
Yes. Because I want this to be structured.
Yes.
Right. So before you go to Uber, because Uber got problems. Uber got problems.
Correct.
And I ran a poll on Twitter yesterday, and there are two clear favorites apparently. But I wonder if people are aware of what's happening with their two clear favorites. So I wanted to talk about it, right?
Okay.
But on the graphic for the show, it says ride sharing wars. But the more I research it, the more I realize that that was actually a misnomer. It's actually not ride sharing, but ride hailing.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to just clear that up right now, that there's a difference between ride sharing and ride hailing.
Right.
So ride sharing is like a regular taxi that you see on the road where me, you, and 5 other people, as much people as them can cram in there. We're sharing that one vehicle.
Right.
He on the way, he's picking up and dropping off people. That's ride sharing. That's the traditional taxi model that we have in Jamaica, like taxi that you can get on the road, right?
Right. Road taxi.
Road taxi. There you go.
Right.
And then you have ride hailing, which is private passenger. So
Correct.
that's when you call up your phone, take up your phone, call up somebody, and the vehicle come to your yard or to your workplace or to wherever you are and pick you up.
Correct.
So that's ride hailing. So all the companies that we are talking about today are ride hailing companies, not ride sharing.
Okay, cool.
Right. So I wanted to make that distinction from the get-go. Now, both ride hailing and ride sharing is legal in Jamaica. However, you have to have a PPV license, and you will see it in the vehicle and then get one badge, and you have to have insurance. Wink, wink. To operate, right?
Right.
We're gonna say wink wink because I'm not sure if road taxis have insurance. I'm just saying.
Come on now.
I'm just saying.
And not all road taxis are PPV licensed either. There's a whole
No,
other
because operating without, and by PPV we mean public passenger vehicles. So there's no private passenger vehicle in Jamaica. There's no such distinction in our laws. And that is causing problem for one of your faves, okay? And so we're talking about red plate taxi now. If you are driving without a red plate in Jamaica, you are driving illegally. And the government can pull you over, confiscate your vehicle, and lock you up, okay? So I just want to make that distinction from the get-go because as we talk more, you're going to see why that's important, okay?
Correct.
So the traditional model, Ingrid, is where you go to the directory, you look up a number, ring, ring, call the number, you get through to an operator who connects you to a driver, right? That's a traditional ride-hailing model.
Right.
Otherwise, you go up on the road and you put out your hand and you stop a taxi, yeah?
Right, that's a route taxi, yeah.
That's a route taxi.
Yeah.
And these were the market dominators. Everybody know El Shaddai, On Time, Apollo, Gadgepur came in and done the place at one point, right? And then just a little bit before the pandemic, Compass came on the scene, right?
Right, and bought out Apollo.
Yes. So they merged, right?
They merged, right.
So these are the big players, the major players in the traditional ride-hailing taxi scene. And you poll people across Jamaica, people been having problems with some of these companies, right?
Right.
The majority of the complaints tend to be customer service.
Without question.
Also, there was an issue with at certain times of the day, you can't get no taxi.
Correct.
Going home time, you're not gonna get nobody unless you book from like early out. And sometimes when you book from early out, it's like first come first serve. Sorry, right?
Right.
So it became a problem. Hey, Jermaine, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Kemoy, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So those were the traditional taxi companies, and then you have the disruptive innovators,
Correct.
right? And I know you love this group, Ingrid,
I
right?
do.
So these are the people who are changing the rules of competition, right? They go into an industry, they look at what are the gaps in this industry, or how can I create new avenues
Right.
to infiltrate this
Right.
industry, right? And what they do is they directly challenge the existing market structure. So they topple the incumbents, right? And that's what started to happen all the way back in 2017. So the new model became you download the app, you go on the app, you book your ride, boom, done.
Correct.
You don't have to worry about the operator give you problems and I give you attitude. You don't have to worry about nothing like that. Boom,
Right.
boom, boom. Them send you a photo of the driver, then send you the license plate. You know exactly who coming to pick you up, right?
Right.
Fill in gaps. Yeah.
Love that.
So these are the local innovators. These are the companies locally or the brands locally who were the first to go in there and say, all right, then, you guys having a customer service problem, you guys having a safety problem, boom, say something here, right? So I had 876 on the go, who was actually the first to launch an app, at least as far as I know, in
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica, all the way back in 2017. And
Mm-hmm.
on their website, it says that they were the first to be approved as a ride sharing company
Mm-hmm.
in Jamaica. Actually, that's what the website says.
Okay.
And then we had Ride Jamaica, and then we had Get There,
Right.
right? In that particular order.
Right.
Did you know about these companies, Ingrid?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't know about Ride Share
I mean, Ride
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Ride Jamaica. I knew about of course, Get There, right?
Right,
And I knew about 876 on the go, right? I
right.
mean, Get There is by done by Chris Quezada. He's a part of the Kingston-based community.
Yeah,
And I knew about 876 because I read about them in the newspaper. Ride Jamaica,
yeah.
this is the first time I'm actually hearing about them.
Right. So 876 on the go, when it just came out, it was a big thing, right?
Hmm.
And she, the founder, Olivia Lindsay, has
Hmm.
managed to actually stay in the news since then. She has done a really good job keeping herself relevant in the market since then, even with the new players that are coming. And guys, you're going to hear from Olivia Lindsay a little bit later on, right?
Fantastic.
Because she's here and she's going to tell us about all of it, how she started the company and all that good stuff, and how she has kept herself relevant and what she thinks about what's happening in the market, because I think that would be interesting, right?
Absolutely.
So 876 on the go is still very much a player,
Yeah.
right? They're still there. Right, Jamaica, not so much. They kind of fell off. Get There. I spoke to Christopher yesterday, and I'm going to
Hmm.
read what Christopher said to me yesterday. Christopher said, Ingrid, that they've pulled back a little,
Yeah.
and they're now in what he calls an observatory stage. They have not killed Get There, but they're waiting for the right time to re-emerge. They're working on their software and working on moving away from a B to they're going a B2B instead of a B2C, so business to
Hmm.
business instead of business to consumer, and they're white labeling. They get their platform for businesses to use in their own hailing, logistics, tracking operations, right?
Yeah. Smart.
So I think it's going to become like a SaaS,
Like a SaaS, like a subscription SaaS product. Yeah.
right?
Subscription. Yeah.
So that's the direction that they're going to go. And he says this approach allows me to simplify, flip the switch to re-enter the market since our tech stays fit, but the cost to convince, convert is a bit too high for him right now. And that's a problem always for the local players, isn't it? The
Yeah.
cost to operate,
Yeah.
right?
They don't have the funding
They don't have the
like a Uber.
capital.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Uber is a $69 billion company. They don't
Correct.
have that kind of money, right? So he says it's best if they, one, monitor the space until it becomes large and more mature, and two, stay open to partnerships, especially through white labeling,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So He's looking for investors who are willing to finance the marketing and the sales. But until then, they're just going to be improving the software. So when they're ready to go, they're ready to go.
Yeah.
So that's the situation with Get There right now. So they have not killed it. Get There is still there, but they're going the route of white labeling. Yes.
Right. Yeah. They came out to the market pretty soft. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
They didn't have the brand power like say on Uber. They didn't have the funding to actually really kind of put their face and marketing campaign out there like InDriver has recently, and so it didn't take in the market at all. So so I'm glad that they're actually rethinking it and thinking how they actually can use the technology, as you said, to go B2B and just have a different kind of product. So,
Smart thinking.
Yeah.
We love that.
You zig when other people zag.
What's that?
You zig when other people zag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love that they have not yet given up and they've not yet, killed it.
Yeah,
because again, I am very much local and I'm a huge fan of Chris.
So am I.
Another disclaimer. I
So
think
am I.
he's a brilliant young man. Okay. So that's what's happening with, as I said, I don't know who is behind Ride Jamaica. I really tried to find information. I was not able to find much information. But I don't see any activities or anything happening with them. So I don't know what the status is with them yet. And as you said, you didn't even know that
they existed.
There's another company called Arrive. I don't know if you heard about that one. But they're on the North Coast, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very much focused on the tourist market.
Yeah, they're tourist, North Coast. So I didn't include them here, even though they have an app on Google Apps, right?
Yeah, it seems to be more of a booking, like a booking.
Yeah, it's like a tutor tours.
Yeah, like a scheduling app.
Yeah,
more than anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
But we wanted to mention them because we want to give you a full picture of what's actually available. Oh,
correct.
Yeah. 876 on the go, I would say, launched in 2007. So far, they've had over 5,000 app downloads. Nice. It bills itself as the first approved ride-sharing company offering scheduled charter transportation. You can book now or later through the app, and they operate in Kingston and Ochi. Yeah.
Right. So they're pretty much almost like Arrive.
Like Arrive, right?
Yeah.
Right. Because you can charter with them, right?
Correct.
Charter, and they take you anywhere you want to go, anywhere across the island.
Yeah.
But they have offices. Their main operating centers are Kingston and Ochi.
Yeah.
Ride Jamaica says on its website that it is the #1 taxi app across Jamaica. But then again, I think that website is dated, which allows users to book local or out of town rides as well as charters, right?
Yeah.
They have 100+ downloads in the app. It's the same thing you said for Get There, where there wasn't a lot of fanfare and marketing and thing happening because I only found out about them doing research. I did not know that they existed before. So that's what that is. And we spoke about Get There. Oh, right. That's about Uber. Oh, Lord. Sorry. So now let's talk about the new players on the block. Right? So they're I don't know what's going on with my text here, when you're rushing. Anyways, everybody knows InDriver. InDriver is the newest player. They came in Jamaica a year after Uber did. So Uber came to Jamaica, entered the local market in June 2021. But Uber is a Silicon Valley company. Yeah. They launched their ride hailing, and Uber is a ride hailing service, even though they have Uber Pool, that's a ride sharing option.
Correct.
Right. So they launched in San Francisco in 2010. Now this is less than 15 years later, which is very fast. But anyways, they're now available in more than 550 cities in 74 different countries. And the company is valued at $69 billion.
US dollars.
Whole heap of money. US dollars. Right. So that's Uber. Then we have InDriver, who entered the local market in October 2021. Now, Ingrid, I heard you said earlier that this was their second iteration.
Yes.
So when did they attempt to enter the market before?
Before Uber, and it just didn't work. So I don't know what's happening, but
Oh,
it's been their second attempt. So
oh.
I figured, I said, oh well, Uber is here. Let me go try again.
Let me
So
go
yeah,
try again.
yeah.
Right. So kind of like Claro on Digital. Anyways, so launched in 2013 in the northern city of Yakutsk, Russia. How many of you knew
I didn't know that. I heard
that
it was from Brazil.
InDriver was a Russian company? You didn't know
I,
that, Ingrid?
no, you told me. In fact, I heard that it was Brazil, and when I did my research, I was like, oh, the owner is Russian, and so that was also quite interesting to know.
I think that is extremely interesting to
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I think that little Mark should go there as
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting, because if I'm not mistaken, we have certain international policies about certain things. I'll just leave that right there. Anyways, moving on. InDriver is now available in 646 cities in 45 countries with over 145 million downloads of its app, making it the fastest growing online ride hailing service. You didn't know that too, Ingrid?
Nope.
Yeah, them apparently they're doing very well,
Hmm.
right? First of all, another quick interesting fact: Yakutsk, and I'm sure that's not how it's pronounced. Yakutsk, Yakutsk is the coldest place in Europe.
Really?
Yes, I found that out doing research as well. And there's a reason why that is important, because according to their website, the reason why InDriver was formed was out of a sense of justice, because when the place got really cold in Yakutsk, the taxi drivers would hike up the price.
Uh-huh.
And so InDriver formed to prevent them from doing that, from hiking up the
Interesting.
price on the coldest days.
Capitalism, yes, responding to consumer needs.
Responding to consumer needs. There you
Yeah.
go. So interesting tidbits about InDriver, right?
Yeah.
So as I said, InDriver came into the Jamaican market. Well, when I was researching, Ingrid is telling me something new here now. So that they are actually here before Uber. I didn't know that. But I know they made an official announcement and said that we're rolling out in October 2021. And then there was a little bit of lull, and then they came back in May of 2022. So I'm not
Correct.
sure what happened there. But
Yeah.
I'm under the impression that a lot of people think that InDriver is Jamaican. It is not Jamaican. They're just very good at marketing.
Yeah, I swear they hired somebody from Digicel to do
From
their
Digicel?
online marketing
From
because of
Digicel?
yeah, no, hey. And the reason why I'm saying is that because of how they market,
Oh.
they
They
seem to
follow
have
the
been
Digicel model
correct of being loud and overt
in your
and
face.
wrapping cars and doing outdoor advertising and doing radio jingles. So they and there's a local young lady who's actually helping them in terms of that culture, those cultural nuances and
Mhm.
and marketing to locals. Because in fact, with coming in from the gym today, I hailed an InDriver and it was wrapped with the InDriver logo.
So you've used the service, Ingrid,
I've used both. Yeah, I like to use as many things as possible just to get my
just
own.
to get an impression.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Never
absolutely.
used any of them. Never used
Yeah,
any of them.
I like to go
I've
on the
had no
ground.
need to use them, to be really honest with you. But I
Yeah,
know people who use them. But as I said, I get a distinct impression that people think that InDriver is local. And when I was researching, I was trying to find, okay, do they have a head office in Jamaica? Well, I see no evidence of a local presence in terms of a head office. I don't know where they are in
yeah.
Jamaica. And I've only been able to find one little dege person on LinkedIn who says that she is responsible for their localized marketing. Now, localized marketing is a very important thing, guys. When you are a multinational company going into another country that is
Mhm.
not your country of origin, and you're trying to market their localized messaging, localized marketing is where it's at. Because you can't go in there and say certain things and do certain things because they're going to be cultural difference, socioeconomic difference. There are going to be laws that are different. So InDriver has been very clever about how they have been marketing, and they've done it in such a way where it fills you with so much pride because you think, oh, this is a Jamaican company. It is not. It is not.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's a Russian company.
It's a what? It's a Russian company. Ingrid, what are some of the things, as far as you're concerned, that influences disruptive innovation?
Because there are a lot of inefficiencies and things that are already wrong in the existing marketplace.
Right.
We all know that the Jamaican transport industry primarily, yes, you have your buses. We have no trains, unfortunately. We have the buses, and we have and which is run by the government of Jamaica, and then we have the public transportation, and we have the that run certain routes, and they have to have their supposedly have to have their public passenger or red plates to operate as a public passenger vehicle, where they can run on certain routes, or with taxis they can have a taxi company with a bunch of taxis and offer that ride hailing service. That's pretty much been there. So there's been a
Yeah.
and what tends to happen in the local taxi market, as you said, you pick up your phone, you call whatever brand it is, and they will send you a cab to your workplace, supermarket, or wherever it is. And when you if you've ever taken a regular taxi, you'll notice something. When you call them, you'll hear a lot of noise in the background. It sounds like, and I'm not even exaggerating, it sounds because the drivers
They have the
have to
walkie-talkie
then
thing.
have the walkie-talkie thing in their radios, and they have to scream to say whether they're closest, or they scream their number, or the number that is assigned to them as a taxi driver, and they scream to their closest and who can get to the customer in 5 minutes or less. And without question, you don't know who's coming for you. You just know the number of the taxi. Oh yeah, 37 is coming for you. Right? You don't know what he looks like. You don't know what he's coming in, the whole 9 yards. And so that's been a typical thing. And it's been running like that. They get to raise the prices or not raise the prices. So market inefficiencies, consumer dissatisfaction with certain things. And so that's pretty much what actually influences that. And there's competition, but there's also some level of, we call like industry collusion, like we don't go over a certain price range for certain distances. When we go out of town, this is usually
Like market standards.
Yeah, market standards.
Right.
Sometimes it can be market collusion, but anyway, and so they're different. So for me, the reason why an Uber and an 876 can exist, because there's still a lot of white space for a certain level of service for certain sectors. The reason why I loved Uber, and which is why when I'm in my second home in New York, I take Uber or Lyft, because again, it's predictable. It has a particular standard. There is a safety issue. I know exactly what I'm paying. I can use my credit card or my debit card. I can share my route with my friends who may be expecting me to arrive at a particular place. And there's a certain level of understanding about the quality of service and the safety aspect that, for me. So that's why I was glad that it was here, because that didn't exist here. It didn't exist in Jamaica at all.
And it's restitutive, because there is an avenue. If something goes wrong, you have an avenue where you can go to for restitution.
Yeah, I can get my money back.
Have a problem, right? Your driver have a problem or whatever. There's an avenue that you go for restitution. All right.
Absolutely.
So basically, pretty much everything Ingrid says is covered here. So the demand for the service in the market, the market concentration, how many players are currently in the market, the level of competition that's in the market, what are the barriers to entry or exit, the cultural factors, which is where I think InDriver got it right as an external player. I don't think Uber has made any attempt to integrate. I don't think they've made not nary one attempt.
Just one. They, as I said, when they realized that, one, their app had a lot of glitches for a good month, because again, I believe allegedly that somebody was messing with it locally. The drivers were getting disgruntled because of the low base rate that they entered the market with, which is their typical market entry strategy. And so they flew in and to have discussions with the drivers and to see what they could do better. And because, of course, I know that InDriver was also kicking their ass.
Right.
during that down period. So
I mean, that sounds more like what you do as a business than a cultural factor.
yeah,
Um, I'm just saying, I don't see where they've made any attempt to. Uber came in as Uber does, as this prestige global company coming into a market.
yeah.
They are not a local company. They don't pretend to be local. They don't even try to talk to you like that local. They don't. We're Uber. Y'all know who we are. Deal with it. That's how, in my
That's that.
mind,
That's typical of the attitude, yes,
that's the
because
attitude.
they're globally renowned.
Yeah, we are
So there's no
Uber.
introduction needed.
It's like, I'm Britney,
InDriver
bitch.
had to
It's
do
like
that
that.
because
Nobody knew
nobody
them.
knew who the hell InDriver
Yeah.
is.
It's
So they
like
had to do it.
I'm Britney, bitch. You know that kind of attitude.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah. Do
I'm
you know
Uber.
who I am? I'm
Yeah.
Oprah. Absolutely.
Hello, Oprah. Right. That's the attitude I have, as well as productivity factors. Uber can keep their costs low because it's not for them vehicles. That's one.
Mhm.
And so the other people are responsible for the operating. They're just operating under the brand name. So what it sounds like to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that Uber is licensing a brand name, and you can just operate under the brand name, and you got the affiliation with the brand name will get you customers.
Absolutely. And that happens with the local markets too. Whoever takes
There you
Apollo,
go.
whoever takes Compass,
Right.
you're buying into that as well.
Except Apollo and Compass and Antime are regulated by local authorities.
Yeah, so is Uber. They found a loophole, but yes,
Well,
we'll discuss that later
they
on.
said they found a loophole, but the government don't tend to agree. But we're gonna talk about that, right?
Hmm.
So let's talk about we'll talk about it now. Some of the problems Uber has been having, right?
Locally.
Locally and
Hmm.
regionally, because they've not had a good track record in the Caribbean. I think they were in Trinidad
Mm.
before, and they
Mhm.
shut down in Trinidad because a driver got killed, and then there was complaints about safety because there's a robberies, multiple, according to the news, allegedly happening with Uber drivers, and so there was a safety issue that customers felt like weren't being addressed by Uber, and then the government and Uber had problems because, just a reminder, guys, we are former colonies. And because we are former colonies, we have some of the same laws. Some of our laws look exactly the same. And so our transport law and Trinidad transport law is very similar. And the same problems that Uber is having in Jamaica or had in Jamaica, as Ingrid said, they found a loophole, is the same problem they had in Trinidad. There were no loophole, and the government said what they said, and Uber said, all right, then peace.
No. So some of that is
That's
correct, and some of
that's
it
what
is
I
not
read
correct.
in a TNT, was Trinidad Express. So
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong.
All right. So, well, that's fine. But here's the thing:
Mhm.
there's always a lot of politics when international brands enter a local market, right?
Right. True. True. True.
And especially when certain things prevail. Yeah. With again, they went into the Trinidad market. They were there for a year. They lasted a year. And yes, they did have those. When you're operating within a certain culture, the culture is going to seep into your business whether you like it or not, because it will
Mhm.
reflect the business. So yes, there were kidnappings, that kind of a thing, robberies, and all that. By the way, that has also happened here in Jamaica. It just hasn't reached the public.
I saw some of that, but I
There have
wasn't
been
able to
robberies. There have
verify
been
it. Yeah.
robberies. There are certain Uber drivers that do not want to go into certain areas at night because they've been held up at gunpoint. That's some of that has happened here. Again, it is
Right.
reflective of the larger society, right? It's not
And
an
to be
Uber.
fair, it happens with regular taxis too.
Absolutely,
Right. To
absolutely,
be fair.
right.
Okay.
So poor track record. That would be harsh to say for Uber. It's just that it just didn't work for them. But here's the thing. Interestingly, when I was in Trinidad in 2019 for 4 months, I used three um, ride hailing apps there, right? And when I left there were five in the marketplace that were
Right.
all local. It also just happens that one or two of those happen to be linked to people who are actually belong to the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and I'll leave it right there. So, there are a lot of nuances around that
For
one.
sure. For
You know what I
sure. For
mean?
sure.
So yeah, you're going ahead with the Uber woes, yeah.
Right. So the first one is non-compliant. So when Uber, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm only going on what has been reported. Yeah. I
Right.
know you tend to have more information than us plebs. Okay. So So when they first came here,
Mhm.
there was a bit of a lag time where, oh, cool, Uber is here. Okay. And then complaints started happening, mostly from the taxi industry.
Yeah.
People are like, hold on. So how them can come and have white plate vehicle operate like taxi and
Mhm.
transport authority not say nothing, but them quick to take away for the road, and there was a lobbying activity started to happen. So there was a citizens lobby and there was a lobby from a taxi industry lobby.
Mhm.
And they pressured the government to actually look into this Uber thing because they're like, it's not fair.
Mhm.
This is against the law. It is illegal.
Mhm.
Initially, the Transport Authority came out and tried to make some kind of distinction
Mhm.
as to why Uber was okay, fine. That didn't go over too well either.
Mhm.
And more lobbying happened. And then they said, oh, government is going to talk about it. I think
Mhm.
Parliament was supposed to discuss it or something to that effect.
Mhm.
And then Parliament came out and said, no special treatment for Uber. They have to comply with the Transport Authority laws, which says
Mhm.
that you have to have a PPV license. There's no such thing as private necessarily. Even if you're going to call somebody then come pick you up, they have to have a public passenger vehicle license and they have to be insured. Uber was saying, oh, well, we'll have some kind of private contract with drivers, and the government was like, no, not really. We don't.
Mhm.
That's not the law. You have to comply. Now, funny enough, I have not really seen much conversation after that whole debacle. It seemed to have
Correct.
died. I know how Jamaican people say 9 day wonder with the news.
Not
So
just that, but the fact of the matter is that have you heard anybody complaining about in driver where that is concerned?
I was about to say, Ingrid, why you jump me? I had it lined up so perfectly. You just jumped the gun, man. Sure, I was gonna drop that one and go boom.
Go
Chop.
ahead. Boom. Go ahead.
Okay,
Drop it.
boom. InDriver not having these problems.
Correct.
And InDriver, for some reason, InDriver has been able to slide under the radar. I did not hear nobody complain about InDriver. And I'm wondering
Do you know why?
why is I don't know why, but I'm saying to myself when I was doing the research, I was like, so what's the difference between what Uber was doing and what InDriver is doing? I don't see
How
the
they
difference.
do it, and here's
Tell
how
me,
they
tell
did
me,
it.
tell me, tell me.
So do you know that with Uber, you have to have they do have an option for you to use your debit or credit card or cash,
Right?
right?
Mm-hmm.
And Uber sets a range in terms of a price based on distance and other algorithms and everything.
Mm-hmm.
With InDriver, it's pretty much like it's like a negotiation marketplace,
Mm-hmm.
and it was strictly cash right now. And also Uber, also InDriver does not at this time take a percentage out of each transaction that a driver has. So for me,
So how them
Uber
get money? How they make money?
it's so common. I'll tell you shortly. So InDriver is still exploiting the same gray area as Uber,
Mm-hmm.
right? InDriver is pretty much a cash-based system, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pay cash or you can't get in there. They allow the consumer to choose from the pool of drivers that pops up on their app, and they can negotiate with that driver if they're going to pay more or to pay less, and then there's an agreement, and then they come to pick them up. And again, InDriver has been good about their marketing campaign. So there people have been seeing it around. So there's a certain level of
So so
familiarity
it's a
and
big thing.
trust, right? So because they had to do that because they don't have the global cachet and currency that Uber has, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is my reason why I think that is actually playing out well. And also the standards for entry with InDriver is pretty much little to none, and there it shows in the types of drivers and this kind of a service that you get. So pretty much almost like InDriver is almost like an updated version of what exists primarily in the regular marketplace. Anyway, it's just that
Just an
it's
app.
an app, and you don't it's an app, and you don't have the middleman of of a taxi company. In fact, InDriver is playing the taxi company. And
Right.
so these guys were enjoying, freely, getting access to customers. Don't have to be paying the 10% of each transaction that Uber currently charges. But it is coming because InDriver business model is pretty much the same as your regular taxi, which is you pay a monthly subscription fee to access this pool of customers. So whether it is like a 25 US dollars or 35 US dollars per month, that is typically their business model. I don't know if they still do take a percentage of the
So drivers pay that subscription fee.
correct. Drivers pay that. So just
Oh,
like how you like now they pay for their radio on a bi-weekly or monthly basis, they're going to have to pay InDriver because that is a business model. Because
right.
InDriver cannot continue to just simply be. They're right now doing the typical market entry as well, which you go what I call
Lowballing it.
yeah, we'll call the crap dealer approach, where you give people things for free, you hope that they develop a habit around it, and then you can basically upsell them.
Incrementally raise the price and people don't
Correct.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So
All
that's why
right.
InDriver is
So
doing.
you said Uber found a loophole. What's the loophole?
The loophole, it's a very thin. Have you ever tried to book a ride with Uber? If you're trying to book a ride with Uber, there's a number of steps you have to agree to. Like you have to agree to ride, and I don't look at the details in terms of, but it's almost like a lessor agreement with the person who's picking you up. So
That's what they've been saying.
so it's
The
not a
lease agreement.
taxi; it's a lease
Rent
agreement.
agreement. Right.
Correct. So it's like you're heading to the beach. I say, Ingrid, you want to come? I say, yeah, man, but you're going to charge me to ride with you because you're heading in the same direction that I want.
Is that the same thing like when I know my friend have a vehicle and I want to take a trip to the country and we're just they charge you $3,000 a day or $8,000 a day or whatever it is for rent them vehicles for X amount of time.
Well, that's a different thing, but this is more of a this is more nuanced in terms of it's like more like a one trip scenario. So that's pretty much that's a loophole, and
That's some slick shit though, Ingrid.
it is, but they're used to it. You see how many cities they're in. They're in over 500 cities across the world. And so they've had to understand what the local parameters are in each market for them to enter. And so they're always looking to exploit gray areas legally or exploit efficiencies in different markets. That's what innovators do, right?
Right.
So, yes.
But what happens
if they weren't legal, they still wouldn't be here 1 year later boasting about 200,000 rides and over 15,000.
Mr. Ingrid, I love your confidence in our governance systems, you see. But anyways, I may not me share that last point with you because I've seen some things. Anyways, but their drivers are being arrested for operating illegally.
There are a couple of them that I heard about.
Up to recently
well.
in May.
Yeah, because
like four different drivers have been arrested, and
because they didn't understand. They didn't understand the nuance. Because they're not a taxi service, and I think that was also a little bit of a what's the word? Trying to do an example, trying to make certain things an example. I want to know why is it that they have not done the same thing for these wrapped. Like the taxi that I came in a while ago.
InDriver?
Yeah, InDriver.
This is what
and I would say of all InDrivers that I've taken, because I've been taking InDriver for around a month or two now. I would say 9 out of 10 InDriver vehicles are white plate.
All right.
Just like Uber.
Girl.
Just like Uber.
So Mrs. Petrina Keen Williams, is it Mr. or Mrs.? Miss Petrina Keen Williams, Corporate Communications Manager, Transport Authority. At least she was at the time. This was last year. And this was in terms of Uber. Because the Transport Authority was threatening and still is threatening Uber. She says what is left to be seen is how the vehicles will operate because the Transport Authority cannot move on an intention to do something. Uber may be recruiting all these persons with their private vehicles, which is illegal for them to operate in Jamaica. But then where the Transport Authority would come in is whether or not they actually deliver the service with an unlicensed vehicle. That is where our authority come in, and that's where we prosecute. So that's the gray area.
That's hypocrisy. Here's the thing. I hear all the belly aching up from the Jamaica Transport Authority. Why don't they clean up their own backyard before they go into somebody else's? The fact of the matter is that right now what exists in the transportation industry, in the taxi industry, that they and from the route taxis, from the route coasters, from the route buses, and from what exists also in the heavily in the regular taxi industry. Go check to see how many red plates exist there.
But
Go
the
and check the
retort,
level of illegal. Go and check the amount of illegal activity that is going on there. Clean that up
Ingrid,
and
we
stop
know. But
pointing to and making.
the
Yes.
retort is,
Mm-hmm.
if the transport authority can harass illegal taxi drivers in Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
and if they can suffer under that kind of harassment, and Jamaican people, all them about school out of people mouth. If local
Mm-hmm.
illegal drivers are subject to harassment, subject to prosecution,
They
whatever,
are.
so should Uber drivers if they're
Well,
operating illegally.
there you go. So well
That's
and
that's
fine.
that's that's the thinking, and I'm in agreement with that. Yes, hypocritical,
Yeah.
but it's not that they're not prosecuting these people. These people are being prosecuted. They're being harassed, and I
Yeah.
use the word harass for want of a better word, because the people them just do their job. Transport authority do
Correct.
their job.
Yes.
So if they have to operate under the law, when they don't operate under the law, they get punished for it. So should Uber drivers. And in July, up to July, Transport Authority came back out and said, listen, Uber, y'all need to start acting right, because 4 of their drivers were nabbed, according to the article, and prosecuted.
Yeah, man,
Because they were driving illegally. So same rule applies, is what the
again, I think it's political,
Uber.
and I think it's hypocritical, because here's the thing. When disruptors come to the marketplace, it's always the locals that cry foul. And the reason why they typically cry foul is that they were not ready for the competition. And here's what I've seen happen, though. When Uber entered the market, because again, Uber offers a particular thing where you can see who's coming for you, the license plate, you know exactly how much you're charged and everything. When Compass, which bought Apollo, the local taxi, started doing that, where if you have a WhatsApp number, because I didn't ask for it and I didn't sign up for it, by the way, friends, they started to push where you book a Compass or Apollo taxi ride, and they'll send you by WhatsApp or text the name of the driver, the license plate, etc. That only happened because Uber came to the market and was doing that. So there was a level of customer expectation.
Competition increase, and so it forces, and that's usually what happens, isn't
Exactly.
it, Ingrid? Competition comes in and it forces people to get better.
Exactly. And so the market decides. The market decides. I'm not in some instances, there is an argument for protectionism, right? Where you protect the local market and you protect the local economy from
Do you think that's what the Transport Authority is doing?
I have no idea.
They don't strike me as the type of organization, the government institution that.
Well, they want to protect them food, but here's the thing: if it's one thing that all of this has taught me, the disruptors are in the marketplace. You have the 876, the Arrive,
right? Because you do have local disruptors, and they too have to comply with the law.
Exactly. So you have all these local disruptors. You have all these international disruptors, and the ones who've been there before. For me, it shows that one, there are a lot of unmet demand and unmet needs in the marketplace.
And we're going to talk about that, or stick a pin in that one as well, Ingrid. So you mentioned earlier too that one of the problems Uber was having is app malfunction. And when I ran the poll on Twitter yesterday, that was a majority of the complaints.
Yeah.
That the app malfunction and they kept canceling rides, right? Yeah. That was another complaint. Of course, driver passenger safety, because as you said, there's been kidnappings, and even in Jamaica, there has been issues. And of course, they have the lobbying issue. Mm-hmm. And you say it's not a poor track record, but if you've only been in one market 1 year and had to leave, and you're having the similar issues in another market, and it's clear that you never clean up whatever the issues are in that market to operate in this market, I don't think I call that poor. We may differ on that, right? Okay. So that's a situation with Uber.
Right.
So I could have done one like this for InDriver, but I can't see where them having a problem locally, because it gonna seem to like them a lot.
No, but
So
here's the thing.
I
Here's the
don't
thing.
see when they
No.
have a problem with transport authority. I don't see when they have a problem with government. I have not heard blip from nobody but none except I like them ads.
Right.
That's
Well,
all
here's the
I've heard.
thing. Here's the thing now. If you people who have been taking InDriver for the past month or so, they have a complaint around customer service. I mean, I've had
Correct.
friends and other colleagues who have taken InDriver, and some InDrivers, their level of customer service is treating it like they're treating route taxi. So they'll come and pick you
Because
up.
it is route taxi drivers, Ingrid.
Yeah, well, because of that attitude, and they're not trained, or they're not shown. Okay, well, this is how you're supposed to act as an in driver, and so they'll come and try and pick you up with other people in the vehicle. They will try to, and the thing that I don't like about in driver too is it's a direct line from the taxi phone number to your phone number. With at least Uber, there is a customer service number. So these random people who are picking you up, they do not have your private number. With InDriver, they do. And so what leads that to happen? Harassment, right? Harassment of the driver to the customer. And so that's been an issue where they're treating it like it's a route taxi and trying to pick up different people, and they don't tell you what they're picking up with people in there. Their customer service is just to be
I
desired.
saw
But
that,
they
but what
are
I'm talking
fast.
about is the hoopla that surrounded Uber from the lobbyists, from the government. I
Yeah.
don't see none of that for Uber driver. I'm just saying. I found
Correct.
nothing. Nothing.
Correct.
In fact, you can
Interesting, isn't it?
barely find it's very interesting to me
Very
because
interesting.
I could barely find information about in driver in Jamaica. Like barely hardly. There's like
Yeah, man.
2 newspaper articles and they look like press releases more than newspaper articles. So I
Yeah.
don't I don't
Very interesting, I say.
very interesting.
Very interesting.
If I had a beer, right?
Very interesting.
And then we have Travelr,
Yeah.
who was very clear with me when I had a conversation with him 2 shows ago. Please go and watch that. I think Damar Hutchinson is brilliant.
Yeah, man, he is.
This guy is not a marketer, has never done marketing. And Ingrid, when you hear him go through how he has been able to literally be the new kid on the block and is kicking everybody's behind, genius.
How is he kicking everybody's behind?
Well, he's kicking everybody's behind in terms of how quickly he has been able to grow in the market.
Okay.
And his marketing. Because he has been doing some things that you don't see other people doing. And one of the things that I found that was innovative, Ingrid, have you ever been to an event, right? You don't drive, you've been to an event, it's time to go home, and if you never make pre-arrangements for get pick up, or you never go with somebody who's going to drop you up, you're going to figure out how to reach home.
You're right.
So you had to try call a taxi company or something. Well, Travelr said, don't worry about it. We're going to be at every event. And we're going to be in our shirts. And we're going to have our cards. And you can scan QR code and book us right there at the event.
Okay.
I think that's intuitive marketing. I think that just makes sense. And you actually don't. You see them outside the event, but they are actually in the event partying with you. Yeah. Of course, responsibly. And so you can identify a Travelr person and say, hey, Travelr, meaning a ride. I just think that's brilliant. And it's something so simple, and you're wondering, how come you not see much people doing it? But it's so intuitive.
InDriver
so
also
simple.
started doing that at the soca parties, by the way. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, but big up. Yeah, he's been doing some interesting things. He's a member of the Kingston Beta community as well.
Very interesting things. And that's where I met him, thanks to Kingston Beta. I had a really good conversation, and I was impressed. I was like, damn, right? Yeah. But anyways, he made sure to say that he's not a ride-sharing company. He's more of a ride-hailing, which is a traditional private. The only thing he has done is created an app for
facilitate ease, right?
For facilitate ease, whatever. But they consider themselves a technology-first taxi service, right? So they use technology for operational efficiency. So they are in the runnings. I still think they're in the runnings. As I said, all of these companies are ride-hailing companies anyway. So I think they're still in the running, and people tend to like them. They got really positive reviews from the poll yesterday. So people tend to like them. This is the only one I've used. I did not use them to the app. I use them. I called on the phone got through, got my ride, was professional, it was pleasant, no problems, easy peasy, lemon
Mm-hmm.
squeezy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can't talk about ride hailing wars without talking about Traveler, because they're growing rapidly. They're growing
Mm-hmm.
rapidly, and the funny thing is, all bootstrapped, no
Nice.
investment,
Nice.
no venture capitalist Ingrid, nothing, bootstrap from the
Mm-hmm.
ground, customer driven.
I love a good local story.
Yeah,
I love a good local
the
story.
growth of the growth of Traveler has been 99% customer driven.
That's
And
wonderful.
it's word of mouth marketing that has gotten them thus far, which is
So in other words, they're very in tune with the customer's needs.
very in tune with the customer's needs. He's always looking for ways to improve. And this is according to him. As I said, you guys can go and watch that video. It is on our YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, man.
So he is prioritizing customer service. And that's the conversation that we actually had. The conversation was about how he uses technology to improve
Mhm.
customers' experience. So he's very
Right.
much about customer experience, customer service, ease of use, and safety.
Right.
Right. And that's kind of a common thread that runs through all of this. There's a safety aspect, blah, blah. Some do it better than others, I'm just saying, right?
Right.
But he's going a step further, Ingrid, and he's saying, okay, well, we don't want to be the only one using this app. We don't want to be the only ones in the marketplace offering good customer service. We believe that if all of us offer good customer service, it makes all of it look better.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they're doing now, or in the process of doing, is inviting other companies to use the app. So
Okay.
now you would have multiple companies sharing this app, which cleverly widens his pool of drivers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So once you use the app, you will get a driver, whether it's a Traveler driver, on-time driver, a El Shaddai driver, you will get a driver. But they're vetted according to Traveler Taxi standards.
Mm-hmm.
And the safety aspect is there. So you get the driver's license plate number, you get a driver picture, you get driver name, you get all that information as well, right? So in a way, they're actually creating a product for the market, not just for themselves.
Yeah. So in other
So
words, it seems to be taking some of the best of what Uber does and some of the best of what InDriver does. Because InDriver again does anybody can be an InDriver.
well, they were doing this before
They're-
InDriver and Uber, to be
okay.
fair, because they've been here 5 years now.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So I don't know if that was an inspiration for them. I mean, Uber is an inspiration for a lot of people, aren't they? Right.
Correct.
So I don't know if that's the case, but they've been around for 5 years now, right?
Mhm.
Right. So that is
The hybrid
Traveler
play.
Taxi.
Right.
But these are the competitive factors that I've been able to delineate, Ingrid. You can let me know if I'm off or if you agree.
Mm-hmm.
Safety is an
Mhm.
issue, because this is again what persons were complaining about, because according to Damar, travel actually started in Portmore, because at the time travel started, there were a rash of incidents with drivers and young women, SAs and RAPESs,
Yeah.
right? This is on YouTube, so
Just
I'm
like in
careful,
Trinidad, yes.
right?
Uh-huh.
And so Traveler was in response to that situation, and they
Right.
made safety a primary feature for them, right?
Mhm.
It's about the cost effectiveness of it, which is why Get There has had to step back from the market to say, well, we can't compete because we don't have the capital to be able to compete, right? Better customer experiences, because customers are becoming more savvy people, right? They're not just going to settle for bullshit no more when they have options. You see, this is the beauty about options.
Yeah, man.
And market diversity. Yeah, man. We have
Absolutely.
options.
Absolutely.
So you can act a fool all you want, because me can call a Uber or me
Yeah.
can call a Traveler. So,
Correct.
And then when it comes to the international companies, there's a novelty about it, Ingrid. Ooh, Uber in Jamaica. You've been hearing about Uber. You see Uber on TV, and you're going, Uber is now in Jamaica. Oh, fancy. I want to try that, right? So there's a novelty that surrounds that. And of course, we're not a tech culture. And so we tend to get, especially in the early days, we tend to get excited about these things. The excitement tends to die off, unfortunately, but we tend to get excited about the novelty of these things. So I think those are some of the factors that drive the competitive factor. So who can do what better? I think. What do you think about these?
Yeah, safety issue is definitely the case, and again, because of any company is going to be a microcosm of what reflects externally in the wider community. So there have been harassments. With harassment, drivers in Uber has been, taken off because they've harassed women. In other words, them a look gal, them a look woman using there and being very overtly. And the same thing with Indra. But again, this is just that is again happening with the other taxi company as well. It's
Yeah, this
reflective
is
of the
norm. Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the norm.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
So Ingrid,
for me, just before that, and for me, as I said, he or she, whichever company knows the customer best and deliver that, will win. And so, what people need to understand when they look at the data, what percentage of the riders are women? What is it that they're, and in fact, the majority, over 50% of the riders tend to be women,
right?
And women with also children. So that safety factor is really, really
It's
crucial.
primary,
really, and that customer service is really gone. Are the days of them dry foot taxi men who come, look at them, just wake up out of them bed. In fact, it has happened once or twice on Uber and with InDrive, and I was like,
oh yeah,
sir, what's going on here?
What's happening?
What's going on here? What do you think this is? And so and the beautiful thing is that there's that feedback loop where a customer can respond, can report them,
Good
and
old
then
social
also
media
block them from not actually seeing their request for a drive anymore. So I like
Right.
kind of like that element of that customer feedback loop,
Right.
and that effectiveness of the app to block them from.
Travelr has something different. If I remember, Damar said that you could do that and then they would block them, so you won't have to book them again.
Correct.
So I'm glad that they're doing that.
But I should not block them. They should kick them off because
kick them off. Well, I don't know if they meant kick them off, but I know I know they have that situation. And he says that he has a situation for drivers as well, because you have some customers that are assholes.
Correct. Or they come with guns.
Right, and so they protect their drivers as best as possible as well. So
Absolutely.
They have tracking features, which is mostly a part of the safety thing. Another part of the safety thing is, you get the information for the driver, so you know exactly who is coming to pick you up and all that. And of course, there's data that the app can collect that will help with the safety.
Absolutely.
And all that stuff too.
Absolutely.
So Ingrid, it's time for us to make a prediction.
Right.
To make some predictions.
Right.
Who you want to go first, and you want me to go first? I want to go first because I want you to tell me if I'm wrong.
Go ahead.
Right. I don't think Uber is going to last very long
in
the market. I think Uber is going to go the same way it went in Trinidad.
Okay.
For the same reasons it went sideways in Trinidad. If Uber drivers keep getting arrested, if the transport authority don't let up and go light on Uber like this, seeming to go light on InDriver, I don't know why. I don't think Uber is going to make it very far in Jamaica. If not that, I think they're just going to get frustrated with the whole thing and maybe think it's just not worth it, right? That's one of my predictions. InDriver, I think the novelty of that is going to wear off, and the minute them change them structure, just as how you said, the minute they change to, oh, this is what we really are, this is how we really operate, people are going to go, no. Because Jamaican people are a funny set of people, You see, if you start out with free, them is like Cardi B, it's free forever. That's Jamaican people. They're like a Cardi B in that sense. It's forever, right? You can't switch on them. You can't trick we. That's Jamaicans, right? So you have to be careful, unless you're the bank. But then the bank has become an institutions where you can't do nothing without them. So we have to suck that one up. But where we have an option, we're going, nah, fam. No. So I think InDriver, after the novelty has worn off, and after the real InDriver jump out at you, it's not going to go anywhere. 876 on the go, and I'm biased. I'll say it from now. I'll hold my hands up. I am biased as hell towards local companies. 876 on the go, Ingrid, has been able to hold their own, grow, and compete in a market with an Uber and an InDriver, and I think that's very admirable.
Yeah, because they're different markets, but go ahead.
Different markets, true, but they're not doing anything that's different. The same way you can book with Uber, you can book with 876 is just that they offer additional options.
Right.
But they've gotten some serious endorsements because the British Embassy came out with them entire chest and said, listen, we don't use nobody else but 876 on the go.
Yeah.
All our diplomats, all our dignitaries, anybody who will have a visit. In fact, when British people come here, we tell them, is 876 on the go.
Right.
That's a massive endorsement for such a small company.
Yeah. She went and got some good contracts. Absolutely.
Yeah. And when they just came out, as I said, they were the first to do it. And it was a big thing. They've still been able to maintain their relevance in the space and maintain visibility in the space, guys. And there's one thing you need to understand about marketing, whether online or offline: visibility and relevance. Without these two things, you're dead in the water. You might as well, about that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Visibility and relevance and timing. Visibility, relevance, and timing. Those three things, absolutely important, or you're not going to go nowhere. And I think because they were first to market, because they're so visible, and because they've managed to stay relevant, I think they're going to come out on top.
They're already winning. Well, go ahead.
I think they're going to stay winning because I've been privy to some information that they're expanding in and out of Jamaica because them doing things.
All right. That's good.
So we're going to hear from Olivia Lindsay right after this. She's coming up next, and she's going to talk to us about the expansion that they're doing, right? So that's my prediction. I think 876 on the go is going to continue growing. They're going to eventually dominate the market. They're moving into other areas of Jamaica. They're in Ochi, they're in Kingston. They operate in Montego Bay, and they're looking at Western Jamaica as well. And so not only that, they're looking to expand regionally as well. I think they're going to win. What do you think, Ingrid?
Okay, so here are my predictions so far. In terms of local players, Arrive.
Before you go, get that SAS thing right. Ooh.
Interesting.
A whole new avenue.
Interesting.
And they're going to win, but in a very different lane. Okay, Ingrid, your turn. Sorry.
So here's my thing. Arrive and 876 on the go. They're primarily winning because they are linked primarily and heavily to corporate and the tourism markets, right? And those tend to come with like contracts and consistent and repetitive customers from a particular pool. So they have decided to focus on lucrative niches, and so they're actually winning and will continue to stay winning. Same thing with so for me, Arrive, 876 on the go, and Travelr, they have carved out lucrative niches. And they're marketing to different. So for me, they've gone corporate, they've gone tourism markets. Let's see if they expand out of that for the regular consumer. But I expect for them.
876 on the go does have regular consumers. They're
Okay,
not exclusively. They're not
exclusive with tourism. So in other words, so they've gone so they're focused on corporate and tourism.
No, that's Arrive. Arrive is tourism.
Right.
876 on the go is corporate. I don't think they do tourism. I think they're very corporate.
Because are they in Ochi?
Market.
Are they in Ochi?
No, they have a base in Ochi.
Okay.
Yes, they do operate in Ochi, but they started in Kingston. They do operate in Ochi, and anybody can download the app and book from anywhere, regular people, but they do have a heavy corporate side. So you're correct.
Cool. So you're right. So again,
Arrive is the tourism people.
Right. So Arrive is focused on tourism markets.
Which is very lucrative.
Very lucrative, and they're using technology as a way to schedule and for people to book with ease. 876 on the go is heavily corporate. Yeah. And they're going to be expanding to other things. So they're going to continue to stay winning. Plus, it's a woman-led business, and women-led businesses always tend to do very well. Great. Again, I'm very biased for women.
Very biased.
Led businesses, right?
All things vagina and all things local, yes.
So we're voting for everything woman, right? So when it comes to the international, I'm going to end with a little bit of a cliffhanger. So when it comes to the
you did that in the article. No, I refuse to have you do that here.
No. So the international people know. So the Russians versus the Americans, right? So Russian led InDriver and and we have Uber. I do not think that we should count out Uber or InDriver yet. It's still very early in the market. Uber came in with their usual thing, right? Low fares for customers to drive a high um, customer ramp up. And then, of course, they started taking 25% of each transaction and they reduced it to 10%. So drivers only get 10% of each transaction. They had a whole bunch of promotions to have keep drivers happy and the customers happy. Yes, what they have done, they've gotten a crap load of data over the last year that they've been operating in Jamaica. Over 200,000 rides, over 15,000 customers. They even could tell you where were some of the key spots of traveling and what were the days when people were leaving their phones in the cars or their whatever in the cars. They have a lot of data, right? And so that's great. But do not give up on Uber as yet. They may choose because it wasn't a must-have. Maybe it was a nice-to-have market for in Jamaica. They probably were in the realm of expanding to other to ramp up their numbers. And so maybe Jamaicans are simply one of the things that they had to do in terms of a chicken tech in a box. We don't know. But now that their app is working, now that they've raised their rates, they've spoken to drivers, we'll see exactly what's going on. With InDriver, they need to get their act together because their customer service is crappy. It's very it's ultra price sensitive. And so we'll see what they do when their full business model kicks in, when they start to charge drivers a subscription fee on a monthly basis, as they do else in the rest of the world. And so that driver is going to have to pay a couple $1,000s, which is per week or per month, to have access to the pool of customers. So we'll see what happens. But guess which one we have not spoken about here tonight or this morning. It's 11:15. Quick Cart is coming into the ride sharing business as well. Quick Cart, of course. Yeah. Y'all, that's why I was going to end with a cliffhanger. That's right. Quick Cart.
How could I?
How could you? How could you?
Shame on me. Monique, I love you. I'm sorry. Shame on me. And I love Monique. She's so awesome.
But anyway, another woman-led business. She is so she owns Quick Cart Online, which started out with Quick Cart. It's been in the business for around 6
formerly
years. Formerly Quick Plate. She is pretty much the market leader in terms of online food and grocery delivering at this time. Yeah. She's going into the rideshare market. That is one business that has basically maintained what it means to understand the customer and deliver on customer expectations.
And they're now in Trinidad. They did a launch last week.
And she just opened up in Trinidad. So I'm expecting that when she does go to the ride sharing, that because she's had 6 years of data and understanding the consumer very well.
And loyal customers.
Right, and loyal customers as well. And can she translate that into success in the ride-sharing app remains to be seen. So right now, my prediction is anybody's game. But right now,
anybody's game.
If anybody is listening in from InDriver, sort out on yourself. Y'all have a very good opportunity to really capture the market. But your standards for drivers and your standards for customer service needs a lot of sort out on yourself.
Lot of sorting out. Sort
out yourself.
Lot of sorting out. We want to see a Clara versus Digital knockdown drag out fight between InDriver and Uber.
The only thing I want to see is where customers like me and others, right? I mean, I don't have to take it, but I love being on the ground, if you want to put it that way. Customers like me continue to have great choice in terms of great customer service, in terms of great cars to drive in, that have air conditioning and pleasant drivers, and do not have music that always is blaring in my ears using the word FUCK on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Please, as again, InDriver, sort out yourself. So customers, for me, have choice. And for me, that's really the winning thing.
And that's why you are a capitalist.
And that's why I'm a capitalist. And so that's my prediction.
Very proud capitalist. She's saying it with her whole chest.
A very proud capitalist.
No venture capitalist.
And no venture capitalist.
And she's saying what she's saying. InDriver, start with yourself. It's anybody's game at this point. Quick Cart might be the disruptor.
Might be the dark horse. Might be the dark horse.
Dark horse, right? Coming in. Watch out for them. Right? 876 is going to stay winning because they're in a very
Travelr is going to stay winning. Arrive is going to stay winning.
Arrive is going to stay winning because they're in very particular niches and they have solidified their customer base, right?
Yeah.
So it's really it's really up to Uber and InDriver to start making more inroads, right, into the market. Can
And
they?
not
Will
take
they?
and not take do not take the market for granted, and do
For
not take the
granted.
customers for
No,
granted.
because your name Uber. Remember, said Jamaica people stone R. Kelly off a stage when R. Kelly was R. Kelly. Jamaican people don't play that. We don't play that. And we say tough crowd. Tough crowd.
Yeah, we're a
You
tough
remember
crowd.
Ingrid?
No, I do not remember that. But
Yes, stone R. Kelly
R.
off a
Kelly,
stage.
R. Kelly is where
No, this was
he belongs.
before that. This was before 2022 R. Kelly. I mean, when R. Kelly wasn't in prime and him come here and come back stage and dropping pants, and Jamaicans was like, not a blood clot, and they did stone him off the stage. That
Yes.
are we? That is us. So
That's us. So
you're
yes.
absolutely right. Don't take us for granted, because Jamaican people, any perceived disrespect. And you see, cancer culture didn't start in Jamaica, but we've been canceling people a long time. You know, any perceived disrespect and it's cancelled. Jamaican people don't play that. So get your ish right. And once the novelty starts wear off of things, Jamaican people start seeing you without the rose-colored glasses. Skeptic people, very skeptical.
But one thing, and I'm very happy as I end here and I leave, is that I'm glad that customers have raised their expectations in terms of how they want to be treated.
Yes.
And that without question, the rest of the taxi industry, they do have a choice. You've been seeing them doing it. They've been trying to raise the bar on how they also treat customers. At the end of the day, the customer is going to win. But anyway,
and we're good with that. We're good with that. Ingrid, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate your thoughts and perspective on these things all the time. Love the way you think about the things. There's more nuanced thinking than I would have given it. And of course, as I said, Ingrid usually have the sauce in terms of the information that sometimes we don't have, because she's an industry insider, ladies and gentlemen.
I appreciate
it. All right, Ingrid,
it's good to be here as usual. Take it easy, Katie.
And enjoy the rest of your holidays.
I will.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so that's what Ingrid says. Ingrid says the market is still very much open. It's anybody's game, but there are persons who are already winning and they're going to stay winning. And one of those persons who are already winning and will stay winning is Olivia Lindsay. Olivia, are you there? Olivia Lindsay is the CEO of 876 On The Go, the first company in Jamaica to offer a digital ride-hailing service. Olivia, are you here?
Hi, yes, I am. Good morning.
Hi, Olivia, please tell the people where you are at this moment.
Katie, why you want to set me up?
Where are you at this moment, Olivia?
Well, at the airport.
Olivia is about to fly out, right? Because expansion. But we're not going to get into our business like that. But Olivia, tell us about 876 On The Go. I think it has been remarkable that you have been able to sustain a small business for the last how much years now, Olivia? 5 years?
5 years. We just celebrated our 5th year anniversary in April.
And you've been able to compete with the Uber, compete with the InDriver, compete with just about everybody that came off after you, and you're still standing and you're still growing strong. How?
Okay. First of all, Katie, thank you so much for your kind words and for having me. So I don't like to think about my business as a small business.
My bad.
I like to think of it as a big business. We're taking on everything. We can do anything. The sky is not the limit. And like you said, we're looking into expansion, and we've managed to hold and manage our space for the last 5 years. It hasn't been an easy road. Let me tell you, lots of hiccups, lots of hurdles, but we've managed to pivot, especially when COVID came. So we've positioned ourselves in a way where persons feel safe, secure, and can come to us conveniently at their fingertips through their app and feel safe using our service over the last 5 years. So the whole live tracking, getting your driver's photo, telephone number, sharing the ride link so other friends or family can track you too, and also you can reserve your cab in advance to eliminate wait time.
Mm-hmm.
One of the core things for us when we were how 876 on the go was born was a safety reason, in that a lot of females were being kidnapped, um, people were being robbed, and a myriad of things in the transportation sector. So we decided to come in to alleviate that problem. And parents now too feel safe. We have people booking for 10 times for the week, in the mornings and in the evenings
Mm-hmm.
or afternoons, for us to pick up their child or children. We see when they can now see when they're picked up, which driver has them. They track the ride right through till they get home, and both parents have that access, or another family if the parent who books decide to share it with everyone. So we're big on safety, we're big on innovation and constantly improving. Consistency is key. Training of our drivers, customer service, as Ingrid said earlier, the customers are the winners. They will have to win. And that is what we strive to continue to provide. Quality service, as our motto says, we're driven by quality and service.
Right. So your focus is on, as you just said, quality service and safety.
Mhm.
And do you think those two things is what have kept you competitive over the 5 years?
Absolutely. 100%.
Right.
Ah,
So,
ah,
sorry, go ahead.
okay. That's fine. You could, but yeah, one of the thing is, persons and or passengers, persons on a whole, wants to get value for their money. So
Mm,
of course, providing that quality service and they're getting that value for their buck, of course it will keep them coming back
right.
and satisfied.
Right. Olivia, earlier, I don't know if you heard Ingrid saying that, you're going to continue winning. You're winning and you're going to continue winning because you have carved out a particular niche for yourself. I want to understand the business model. Is it that you're fully corporate, or is it just that you have a heavy corporate side? Who are your services available to? Because I just hear you say parents, um and I know your app is publicly available. So, who are your services available to, and who has been the majority of your customer base? Has it been corporate? Has it just been everyday regular citizens? Who has it been?
Okay, so thanks, good question. Like you said earlier to Kadia, because you've done your research, we are for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not limited to just one particular area
Mm-hmm.
or industry. We're for everybody who has anyone who has the need to get a transportation service, a chartered service for for 24/7. So, but mostly though, like you said, we're heavily corporate. Um, the schools, especially the parents too, they really love the service because this now saves them time rather than going for their child at school. They now have the capability to just
Mm-hmm.
book and see what's going on and have
Yeah.
that sort of comfort and ease being at work, but knowing that their child or children are safe.
Yeah.
But we're open to everybody. It's for everybody. We're uniquely Jamaican, so we are here for the Jamaican public.
What has the and you just said that parents love the service, but in terms of the general public, what has the reception been like? What type of feedback have you been getting about your service or brand?
Okay, so in like every business, we have good and bad reviews. Fortunately for us, with our app, it helps us to manage that because after each ride, a person can always send their review.
Mm-hmm.
These reviews are very important to us. We recommend it, we encourage it because it's the only way that it can help us to give that first hand reception and allow us to improve in what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's critical for us. But for now, we've been getting great feedback, and you've mentioned earlier as well about with the corporates, we've had some huge contracts and embassies who have faith and trust our service, who went through the hoops to get us approved, and they're satisfied and are happy with what we do. So we've been getting great feedbacks. Of course, we're going to get one and two bad reviews. We don't want it, but we prefer to know what's going on. So if it's a case with a bad experience with a driver, we will retrain that driver, pull that driver if the needs be, and then we will try to just to find out what's happening and then ensure that our customer doesn't necessarily have that same feedback going forward, or eliminate that from happening to other passengers who may come on board.
Right, and I want people to understand. So it is no small feat, and I know you said you don't consider yourself a small business. My bad about that.
No, you're
But
good.
certainly you're not a $69 billion company like
Oh,
a YouTuber,
absolutely.
right?
Not yet. Not
Not
yet.
yet, cause not yet. But girl, you're working, you're
Getting
working, you're working.
there.
But what I want people to understand is that it is no small feat to become certified and verified by the British Embassy. That's no small feat. That's a function of having to be verified locally and having to be verified over there. And so, Olivia?
Absolutely.
Right.
100% correct.
So there's two different, you have to be verified in two different area codes, two different countries, and two different continents. Yes?
Absolutely.
Before you were able, and I'm sure you went through rigorous vetting because the embassy.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So it is no small feat for you to have gotten that kind of contract. And again, congratulations on that. What other corporate entities do you work for? If you can tell us, what other corporate entities do you actually work with?
We have the banks. We have.
She got the banks locked.
We have the banks. I mean, we have quite a few entities who really rely on us daily. And I spoke about the schools earlier. Thank God.
She got the
knows
schools
that,
locked.
yes, we have the schools, we have the banks, and different service industries who would have just want our service from time to time or on a daily basis. And that's a growing thing that we will consistently try to get under our wings. Yes, so we've been working on that consistently.
And once you have the banks locked, even if you never have nobody else, once you have the banks locked, you're doing well. But then you have the embassy, and then you have the schools. And you see, this is what I admire about you, Olivia. It's a clever way that you went about doing it, because you could have just created an app and have it out there near members of the public, but you were working smarter, not harder. You were like, let me go over here and talk to these banks over here, see what they're saying, locking some contracts over here, because contracts is steady, right? You know that over a certain period of time, you are going to be directly engaged with these entities. So that's money coming in. That's guaranteed money coming in. Similarly, you lock the embassy. That alone, just the fact that you have been able to lock the embassy brings a certain level of prestige to your organization, because as I said, you have to be verified on two continents. Rigorous vetting processes. So it adds prestige, and it adds a level of trust to the business as well. And so I like the way you went about doing that. And I saw the article where the embassy was talking about you, and they were like, oh my God, the service is they were gushing. The service is so wonderful, and we just love these guys. And I'm going, that's what's up. That's what's up. So congratulations on, having the forethought to go, well,
Thank you.
We need to lock this in. While we love the public, y'all ain't consistent enough to pay my bills. I mean, love the public, but the consistency is not there. And so I don't know if that's the reason why you do it, but that's what it makes sense in my head. So you went the route of contracts. So that's great. What is go ahead, Olivia.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So I was saying, and that one embassy opened doors for other embassies.
Of course.
So, right. So we not only do that one in particular, the British High Commission, but the other embassies would have also been utilizing our services.
Meaning she got the embassies, multiple plural, locked in. Okay. Pick up yourself.
Yes.
In terms of the market, Olivia, and I don't want to put you on the spot, and I don't want you to have to talk about who else is in the market. Where do you see yourself in the market? What position do you think you hold within the market?
Okay, good question. To start, one of the reasons for us creating our niche and operating in a particular manner, it is to allow that consistency and keeping that added value for our passengers. So we didn't come in to have an open space where everybody is allowed, because that will allow us to lose control. Currently, our drivers wear white shirt, black tie, black pants. That's their uniform.
So
They're
they're
expected to get
uniformed.
right, their uniform. They're expected to get the door when a passenger is entering and exiting the car. Usually
Woman.
a AC cab. We offer refreshment and Wi-Fi on board. Conditions
Oh,
apply.
Wi-Fi on board.
Right. Yes, for
Excuse
certain
me.
long trips. Let me make
Right.
that clear in the public space. So if we come in and we open our space to everybody, which we would love everybody to come on, but we will lose that control to have that uniformity, consistency, and controlling that quality service that we are pushing to consistently provide. And that is where we would have created our niche to allow us to keep on the route we're traveling, as it relates to being known for that type of service when
Yeah.
somebody hear 876 on the go.
So you're not necessarily closed to the market, but what you're saying is, just as how the market vets you, you vet the market, right? And
Absolutely.
you ensure that you're offering the service, that you can control the quality of the service that you're
Ab-
offering to the public.
Absolutely.
Somebody
Absolutely.
asked a question, Olivia. What are the price points for rides with 876 on the go?
Okay, so it's really industry standard rates that you'd get on a regular cab. And just to reiterate, it's value for money. We're just giving our customers a different
An
experience
extra
than what they
service.
would. Yes, that hump right there. Yeah. Yes, that's what we aim to do, to provide our customers with a world-class experience, even with our fleet. So the model and the
You
structure
notice
of
you
the
said
company.
fleet?
Yeah, I can't with you, but I just love you. Even with the structure of our fleet, we only use sedan type shape cars. We have some station wagon before we're phasing that out. So it's a sedan shape car where we want our customers to feel comfortable. We want you to feel like, oh, this is your chauffeur service for the day. And, you just feel happy.
Aw.
It's Jamaicans, we stay. We want to dress up. We want to come out of a nice car and we're looking good. So we want you to have that form of
No,
comfort.
beat up
Yeah,
jalapeno
and you're
round
coming
here.
out, and
Yeah.
we accept members. So the company, the model is company-owned cars, and members can add a car on the fleet if you want to, earn some extra money or an
So
additional source of
it's your
income.
fleet. It's 876 on the go fleet. You guys have a fleet of cars
We do, and we have members who add a
who add
car
car,
or
but it has to
can
be
add.
specific
Yes,
specifications.
a year. We're at a specific year now, and we have a specific type that we would prefer to add. So, and this allows our members to get their money on time, because we do have an issue with drivers getting customers, because everybody
Somebody
wants that
say
nice
high class
car
service. Somebody say high class service,
at
Olivia.
at a
Yeah.
reasonable cost. At
So
a
this is the
reasonable
thing,
cost.
guys, and
Yeah.
this is why people wonder what the price point is, because they hear all the things that you're getting:
Yes.
Wi-Fi for long
Yes.
trips,
Yes.
service, on some trips they get refreshment or so,
Yes. Absolutely.
and
Airport
some
and
long
long
trips and airport trips or
trips.
out of
Yep.
town trip you get
Yep.
refreshment and thing. Yeah.
Yes.
And chauffeur drivers are uniform, they're trained, they have
Absolutely.
manners,
Yep.
they won't do her
Cus-
good morning, good evening, good
Yes. Yes.
afternoon, Mr. Sir, ma'am. Yes,
Yep.
that kind of service.
Yes. And
But
properly
it's
screened.
properly screened, properly vetted.
Yes.
But
Yes.
anybody can access that service, because you don't have to be uptown
No.
for access to be able to access proper service.
Absolutely not.
And somebody
We are
says
for
people are
everybody.
willing to pay for quality, and that's true, but it's market
True.
standard rates. Market
Yep.
standard rates, market standard rates.
Yep.
Just this person says, sounds like you have been able to successfully create and maintain a market. So they want to know, how would they be able to add a car to your fleet,
Oh,
Olivia?
okay, sure. So in the interest of time, you can reach out to us at 876 That's our WhatsApp number or mobile. and our land
876
879
879 49
30
30.
or
Mm-hmm.
or 876
Mm-hmm.
648
648.
113 go, and the go is for 46, so that's 1346.
Is there an email?
Yes, 876 on the go at gmail.com. Can't forget that one.
At gmail.com if you're
Yes,
interested.
yes,
876. But try no say rigorous vetting process, and you
yes,
have to
we
wear your uniform, and you have to
yes,
do your thing, and you have to be polite because, as she said,
no
dignitaries.
tolerance for that. Yes, and
Yes, yes, yes,
so
yes,
our
yes.
drivers are screened by, we have a member of the JCF and JDF who assist with that. Even our fleet manager and security is a
Ooh,
police officer.
ooh.
Yeah, our safety is key. We want to ensure all our cars must be licensed as a public passenger vehicle, and we are recruiting drivers every day. And you must hold a valid driver's license to include PPV, because that's the
Olivia
only
did
way
not
you
come to
can
play
drive.
with
That's,
y'all.
that's the only way you can drive a car. For the members who are coming on, you can come with your driver. If you don't have one, we will source one for you.
Olivia ain't come to play with y'all. She ain't come to
No,
play with
not
y'all.
today.
And this
Not
is
today.
service that you think a certain global competitor would be offering, but they ain't because they're basic as hell. I'm just saying, guys.
But look at it
I
though,
think the
Celia.
international competitors are basic as hell. I'm just saying. That's just me.
But international competitors will come in with a system. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same Jamaican people who are driving these cars. Listen, while
Exactly.
I don't mind competition, do I think it's good? It helps us to get in line and just put on our A game, and it is the consumers or the customers who will win. But at the
Right.
same time, at 876 on our clients are first priority. It's not our competitors. And impressing the
Boom. She
competition
said
isn't the
that.
goal. Impressing the
Boom.
competition isn't the goal at all. It's really serving our
Olivia said,
audience.
I ain't worried about y'all. I ain't worried about y'all. Not 1 minute. I ain't worried about y'all. That's what Olivia said. I
Yeah, but
mean,
I wish them well. I wish them
she
well.
wishes y'all
The
well, but
pie
she ain't
is
worried about
big
y'all.
enough. The pie is
Here
more
I
than
get
big enough.
here I try to get politically.
No,
And
it's
you
true.
remember,
It's
Obama, the
true.
Obama interpreter. I'm interpreting for Olivia. What she's saying is, she ain't worried about you hoes. She ain't worried about y'all. I mean, y'all can do your thing. Y'all can eat her food. It's cool, but she ain't worried about y'all. She
The
worried
pie is
about
big enough.
quality of service and our customers and our contract with embassies and banks and schools.
That's
Right. And
it.
she expanding and she growing and she ain't
Oh
worried
yes.
about y'all. She know y'all exist, but do you really? Do you really though? Yes, that's what
You,
Olivia is saying.
yeah.
Olivia, somebody asked, and this is a good opportunity for you to go into this. Are you looking for investment? I know you're about ready to do something.
Yes, we are.
I know you're
We
preparing to do what?
expand. Yes. Currently,
No,
we're
but you're
looking.
you're you're doing something with stock exchange.
Oh, yes, and we're definitely preparing our books to be listed soon. Yes,
Boom, Jermaine,
yes.
learn, grow, invest. Jermaine, Jermaine, you need to have Olivia on your show to talk about this. They are about ready to get listed. They're working on getting listed. Olivia, tell us about that.
Okay, so we're in the initial stage and phase. So it's
Mhm.
about putting ourselves in order, getting all the necessary requirements in place, doing our proper research, and setting up ourselves in a way that will be beneficial, feasible, and take it as a boom, like you said earlier.
Mhm.
So that's our main goal now, or one of it's really priority. And people have been asking, it's the time. No, we're 5 years old. Yeah, it's time to get into advanced stages of the business. So
Mhm.
we're consistently working on improving and taking the next step and
Right.
testing the waters.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, she ain't worried about y'all. She ain't worried about y'all. She's working on getting listed on the stock exchange. And Olivia, you're expanding. I know you can't tell us much because I know off the air you said you can't really tell us much about that. But give us
Yes.
an idea of what we were thinking in terms of an expansion, an internal expansion and a regional expansion.
Okay. All right. So I can speak a little more on the local. So we're currently going into wheelchair services. We're rolling that out next week. We
Oh,
have our vehicles. Yes. We
listen.
realize, people that area is not really much emphasized,
Mm-hmm.
and not much focus is given there. And these persons, nothing stop these persons when they want to move, and we want to support that cause by providing the transportation for them where they can come in. We roll down the ramp and they just go. They don't have to come out of the wheelchair. If they want to, they can, based on the setup and layout of the vehicles that we're putting on. But now people with disability and who perhaps use the wheelchair and are comfortable with just coming up and going in without moving or being lifted to and from a vehicle, you can book for your wheelchair services
Boom.
coming your way very, very soon.
Coming your way next week. So she's
Yes,
adding
as soon as they
another
see.
quality
Yes,
service to her what you call that? What you call that? To her already existing
our service
services.
offering.
Our
Yes,
service office.
yeah,
And this is so important because a lot of people tend to overlook the disabled community when it comes to
absolutely.
traveling and moving around. But here's a local company saying, we see you and we're working on something, especially for y'all. That is amazing. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
And you got it first, Kadia. This is the first place we
Oh,
said
we got
it.
a scoop. This is
Yes,
a scoop.
yes,
Oh,
this
scoop,
is the
scoop,
scoop.
scoop,
Yes, this is the
scoop.
scoop. This
Yeah,
is the
love that.
first
Love that.
place. Yes.
Where next are you planning on going in Jamaica, though, Olivia?
Um,
I know
like
you're in Ochi. I know you
correct.
operate in Mobe. Where else are you going?
We operate in St. Mary as well, because the
Ooh,
Ochi location would cover for
we
St. Mary
service
and
Mobe
St.
and
Anne,
Ochi.
correct,
Okay.
and Montego Bay.
And St.
And
Mary. Right.
we're in parts of St. Catherine too, just like being in Kingston, where we have Portmore, some areas in Spanish Town, and we're looking to be more present in Spanish Town, in St. Catherine area, to
Okay.
be just to say. So we're looking into that, and Mandeville is calling. We've been getting the calls. So we're taking our time, we're diligently moving, but we want to move with wisdom, and we still
Ooh.
want to but we still want to, have
Mm-hmm.
things in place that wherever we go, our system and service is compatible and known
Yeah.
for what we do.
Yeah. She don't want to talk about it much, guys, but you're also thinking of expanding out.
Regionally,
Can
yes.
can I talk up? Can I give the geographical,
All right,
like
okay, go. All because you have the good
Eastern
speaking.
Caribbean,
Yes.
Africa, that's where
Oh yes,
nice.
that has been
North
on the table.
America,
Yes, yes,
girl,
yes. We have been doing some work. I'm not gonna
yes.
deny that. COVID though put a
Mhm,
halt on some of these things, where it would have given us a break. But
mhm.
I'm happy for it, because it took us back to the drawing board.
Yeah,
We would have even broadened our scope and network, which is important when you're going into different territories.
for sure.
Um, so that has worked in our favor. But we're still in the deliberation stage,
Mhm.
but we have signed documentation,
Paper
signed
side,
interest, great,
mhm.
and different expressions of
MOUs on the
interest.
table.
Yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes.
Hmm.
So we're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it.
She's
We're
doing the
doing it.
damn thing. She's doing the
We're
damn thing. So
yes.
you guys
That
heard that
word.
here first
Yes.
too. Okay, she new wheelchair service coming.
Yes,
Mandeville
absolutely.
calling. She's
Yes,
expanding it out in Jamaica. She's looking
yes,
into some Eastern Caribbean countries because the call is actually also coming from outside the house. Yeah,
absolutely,
Eastern Caribbean
absolutely.
countries. Africa say, hey sis, what you doing? We ready. North America say, hey, listen, we like what you're doing. We like what you're doing. We may want to have to talk, right? Plus,
Absolutely.
they're working on being listed on. Listen, and I may sound excitable, and this is just my personality, but in all seriousness, this is very impressive, Olivia. And
Thank you.
another reason why it's so impressive is that you don't do a lot of marketing. I don't see big billboards.
No.
I don't see I don't see Google, some ridiculous Google ads. Like Uber. Uber, talk to
Okay,
me. I can help you
understood.
with your Google ads. Come on. Do better, right?
I know that's your
Do better.
specialty.
Do
I
better.
know,
Do
I
better.
know,
I don't know what's
I know,
happening.
I know.
In Driver, has been doing the damn thing with the marketing. I ain't gonna lie. But I don't see you do any marketing. And girl, you're eating all kind of food. What?
Well,
This is the power of service and good service, guys. And word of mouth,
mouth,
still the best
absolutely.
marketing tool,
True,
hands down.
true.
No matter how much gimmicks, tricks, hacks, software, tools, planning, systems, organization, time management, word of mouth is still the best marketing tool. And Olivia, I think you have wielded that tool so effectively.
Thank you, thank you. We try. We've done some stuff, and like you said, though, not necessarily consistently. I mean,
Mhm.
I've been using that word a lot. But even in business and scaling, it's very critical.
Yeah.
We've been to the stage, especially when we've launched, and with this, we got this huge reception from not just Jamaica, but all over the world, Canada, USA, the
Because
Caribbean.
y'all were
People
the
just
first
been
to do it.
calling,
Yeah.
booking. Yes. You
Mhm.
see, but you have to be mindful of overextending yourself and then you can't deliver.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
when you can't deliver, this will tarnish your brand.
Mhm.
And that is something that we're working on to keep that in line with providing the service each time somebody wants to be picked up or the need arise. Because if then we have this huge demand and then we can't meet or supply it, then we may have a challenge. So we're
Mhm.
constantly scaling, we're monitoring, and we're gradually growing, but we're doing it in stages and phases. But we want everybody to be happy and satisfied. So we definitely have to keep that under control. And that's one of the main reasons why we have managed to do it in a particular way that still keeps us afloat.
Boom. Where is the app available for download?
In the Google Play Store and the App Store,
You see,
you on our website. We're on IG, we're on Facebook,
before you
we're
go to
on
IG and the socials,
sorry.
guys, let me tell you something. And anybody in here who's a software developer or an app developer can tell you, it is not cheap to create
No.
an app for the iOS market. Much less, which is why a lot of these apps usually start out on iOS and then eventually go to Google because it's not, first of all, it's not cheap to build an app, and it's not cheap to build an app for multiple platforms. So the fact that this app is on iOS and Google is in and of itself a massive, massive a massive, what do you call it, goal, a massive win. It's a massive plus because that's not cheap. Cheap to maintain either. Not if you want
Absolutely
them to
not.
continue functioning properly. So they do need user buy-in. They need user buy-in, and we need to support local, right? As I said from the outset, I am very biased. I'm very much local, and there could not be a conversation about ride sharing, ride hailing applications and services without 876 because I knew from a long time that they were the original, they were the OGs in this thing, right? So you can download the app on Google, on iOS. You can find they have a website. They're on all the socials. You can find them. Go out, look for them, support, test the service, try it, give them some feedback. Feedback is always good for growing businesses. Give them the feedback so they can continue to improve their services. But so far, you're the only persons I've heard who are offering this kind of quality service and it's still at market rates. So I'm saying some of y'all faves are basic. And if we're going to demand that local providers step up their game, then when they step up their game, we need to support them. That's all I'm saying. Olivia, thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much for that.
I know
Thank
you're
you
off
too. Thank you so
to
much for
sign
having
more
me.
papers and do more talks and deals and things. Wishing you
Thank
all
you
the
for having
success,
me.
girl. I think you're very visionary in the way you're going about this thing and very strategic, as Bush would say. And we really, 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 we're championing you over here at Digital Jamaica. Go, girl.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. And I'm so
For
proud of you,
sure.
Kadia, and your accomplishment. I wish you all the best.
Yes,
Big ups
because
to all
you
the
were there
listeners.
from the very beginning.
Yes, I
Yes.
was there. I was there. Is that now we're coming from? It's from Wapikin Philip, is that they say?
From what?
Yes.
Yes, from what
Yeah,
became
from
Philip,
Wapikin
right?
Philip.
Which
Yes,
is why
yes.
you were one of the first persons like, girl, we need to talk about this because y'all doing your thing. Have
I
a safe
appreciate it
flight,
so much.
and
Thank you
girl,
so much.
yeah, as
I
Kalila would have
appreciate.
said, get that money.
Ah, yes, we have to. Girl
All
power.
right,
I heard
girl.
you said something. Everything vagina. Hey.
Everything vagina, everything black, everything Caribbean,
I'm
and this
gone
so
with
we're
that.
there.
I'm gone
Yes,
with
that
that.
is.
I'm gone with that.
All
Thank
right,
you so
Olivia,
much.
take
Have a
care.
great day. Stay
You
safe.
too. Bye
Okay,
bye.
bye.
Guys, we will be right back. That was an amazing conversation. That was amazing. Ingrid is awesome. Love her. Always comes with, the juicy, the saucy information. So we really appreciate Ingrid being on, and of course Olivia being on, because I just wanted you guys to see what's the real state of the local market in Driver and Uber. And I'm gonna share the results of the poll with you guys that we did on Twitter yesterday. And so you guys, well, the persons who voted clearly preferred Uber and think Uber will win the ride sharing wars, or really the ride hailing wars, with in driver second and travel, and then there's the other. And the only reason why I have other and I couldn't put the names of the others, because with Twitter polls you only get four. So that's why I ended up saying other. But I wonder now, since you guys have heard what's really happening, if your minds will change. As I said, my predictions are Uber won't get tired of the stress and problems and just go and say, well, it's really not worth it, especially if their drivers keep getting arrested, or the safety issue keeps is still pervasive. In driver is going to go the same way, I think, once the wooing has ended, because now they're in the wooing phase. They're trying to woo us, right? And so I don't think they're making a lot of money right now, because they're trying to softly get into the market, softly dominate, gain traction, and then they go bam, price increase on your asses, right? um so I think after the novelty of that has worn off, and after some people realize that it's actually not a Brazilian company, it's a Russian company. mm. Where are we morally? Where are we with that? So there's that. That they're not gonna stick around for very long, and sometimes these international companies tend to use smaller countries as testing grounds, sometimes to see what they can get away with, right? And sometimes to test to see, what the temperature of certain areas are, especially new markets. That's what they call us, new markets. So I think there's a lot of testing and stuff going on, but I still say that Uber does not have a good track record. So far they've been in Trinidad and Jamaica, they've not had a good time in either country. So Travelr, as Ingrid said, Travelr arrive, and you just heard from 876 on the go. They have been able to carve out particular niches, although Travelr is really just an anybody. They're a traditional taxi company, don't get them wrong. They're just tech driven. Their approach is very tech driven. So in that way, they're fine. Arrive is going to be fine, because Arrive is on the north coast and they're doing the touristy things. And the dineros is over there, that side, right? And they're already getting really good reviews, really good feedback. So they're very much dominating their space. So everybody's in their own particular lane and dominating. And as I said, I think your faves, Uber and InDriver, are basic, because what tends to happen is there's no real vetting going on with these drivers. Anybody can just really come on. Well, let me not say no vetting, but maybe subpar vetting, I don't know. And sometimes maybe the reason why you're getting certain treatment and why the customer service has actually not improved is because it's the same drivers being rotated all around. So when you have a service like 876 on the go and Travelr, who actually vets, they do heavy vetting of drivers to ensure that they meet a particular standard, you can't, that's right, a next level. And so when these international companies come in and they offer us bare minimum service, and we get excited about it because, oh, it's Uber, or oh, InDriver. The novelty tends to wear off after a while, right? And so I still think 876 is going to come out on top, even though they're in a separate lane. Once they've listed and they've gone public and more press, more attention, more marketing, I think they're gonna come out on top. But as Ingrid said, the market is still very much open. If Uber and InDriver can improve, they're still in the competition. Get There, I am also rooting for Get There because I think it's a very clever thing that they're doing. If you enter a market and you realize that you don't have the capital to compete, you either withdraw from the market altogether or you pivot. And I think Get There is trying to pivot. So instead of offering a regular taxi service, they're offering the software as a service. So they're offering it as a SaaS, or they're white labeling it, which means that if you are a company and you want to create a transportation service within your company, like you remember, some certain government agencies have their own buses and so on. So if you're a company, a private entity, and you want to create your own transportation services for your employees, they have the tech and you can use their tech to do that. I think that is very clever, because what Gizada Limited is very good at is creating experiential based software. So software that solves local problems, right? And so they're really sticking to what they know, which is creating the software. So kudos to Chris, rooting for you, Chris. Hopefully it works out for you. Hopefully you can get the investment that you need to get this off the ground, because I think that would be a game changer, not just locally but globally. That would be a game changer. So rooting for them as well. So guys, that's my take on the market. And if there is no market manipulation happening, and if we are truly a capitalist society as we claim we are, I think, then the cream will rise to the cream will rise to the top. That's what I'm saying. Cream rise to the top. The better company will win out in the end, and y'all already know who I'm rooting for, so I'm not even gonna pretend. I'm not even gonna pretend. Next week on Digital Jamaica Live, we are talking to Ricardo Carter and Michaela Legisla, and they are the team behind AnimeCon Fest. AnimeCon they just wrapped up AnimeCon like a month or two ago, and it was a successful showing this time around. I think this is their second or third year, like officially showing. And so I wanted to have a conversation with them about the rising cosplay and anime culture in Jamaica and the Caribbean. And so they're going to be on the show next week to talk about that, because I think it is very interesting. Sometimes, guys, what it is we don't have certain luxuries. Certain luxuries are like adults. I mean, in certain countries, I don't want to say third world because I hate that third world. Let's say developing. We don't have certain luxuries as persons in more developed, more economically wealthy countries have. And one of those luxuries is cosplay. I think it's a luxury because you can indulge in a pastime, in a fantasy, or you can indulge in something that you actually love, whether it's anime or whatever. You can actually spend time and spend money and indulge that side of your interest, like fully and openly indulge in that. And that's not something we have the luxury of doing, because first of all, we don't have the disposable income. That's one. Two, we don't really have that kind of culture. And three, we don't have the time because we have to be working. Because Peter Issa say, on a work more when I go foreign, on a work so good one in the day here, and that's why y'all ain't getting paid so good. That didn't go down too well on Twitter, did it? That Twitter account is no more. You see, him should have just shut up and eat him food, right? Him should have shut up and eat all him food, a whole lot of food, in bad with food. But he just had to say something, and he got chewed the hell out on Twitter. But anyways, we don't have the certain luxuries to engage in certain pastimes. So I'm very much interested in the growth of the cosplay movement. Is movement the word? Industry, anime in Jamaica and in the Caribbean, because I think it's rebellious. It's very rebellious, and it's revolutionary in some instances. And I'm glad that that's the path we're going, because we want to indulge, we want to dress up too. We want to dress up, and yeah, why not? So that's what's going on next week, guys, and that's it for the show today. Thank you so much for joining us and for watching. We've had some really good shows, and you guys need to go and check out our YouTube channel. Go and watch that interview that I did with Damar Hutchinson, travel owner of Travelr. I think he's a brilliant businessman and marketer, very intuitive. You can learn a lot from him through that interview that we did. That was two shows ago. No, show before last. 2 shows ago, right? You can go and check that out. Very interesting conversation we had with Damar. And yeah, check out our other videos. We've had so many interesting conversations with so many people over like 2 years. Go and check that out. You're gonna learn a lot. And stay with Digital Jamaica. Follow us on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on LinkedIn. We have a website. Go and read the blog. We have a blog where we're only talking about Jamaican people and the awesomeness that they're doing over on the blog. We have a podcast, and I am launching the Digital Learning Hub. So if you're a small brand, a small business, a creator, and you're struggling to figure out branding, because when we just start, we don't know about marketing, we don't know about branding, we just want to build our business and go about our business. But then we realize that this actually takes effort and I don't know what I'm doing. So you try every hack, every tip, every trick, every trend. Some stick, some don't, and you find yourself back in the same position because you don't have a strategy, you don't have a plan, and it's all in here. You're operating on vibes, how I feel this day, what I see other people doing. And so we want to change that. And I'm creating a space that I wish I had when I was just starting out online. And I'm just basically in that space going to share with you everything I know about branding online. And I'm going to be curating content that other people have shared about branding online and some of the things that you can do. So if you're interested in that, I'm launching that this week. So stay tuned on our platforms for that launch. We have the very first workshop that I have coming out is on, I call it the VRT strategic framework: visibility, relevance, and timing, because as far as I'm concerned, those are the 3 most important things that you need to get right in order to be successful online. And everybody that you know that have been successful online have established all 3 of these things. Now, they have not necessarily used the VRT strategic framework because that came out of my head, but it's nothing special. It's putting together some best practices, some best marketing practices, some best branding practices, and kind of putting it together in a structure that will make it easier for you to then develop strategies from that structure. And so that's the very first workshop that we have coming up in the group. The group is free, the workshop is free, don't even worry about it. So that's the very first one that we have coming up at the end of the month in the group. And so I'm going to walk you through what you need to do to gain visibility, gain relevance, and how you need to time your tactics and activities in order to gain visibility and relevance. What are the variables that you need to consider and all that good stuff. We're talking about it only in the Digital Learning Hub. Yeah, see, that's my funnel. And that was a CTA. Boom. Didn't see that coming, did you? Right. So stay tuned to our social media platforms. And when that launch happens, you'll know there'll be a YouTube channel, because I have a ton of content that I need to repurpose that I need y'all to see because it's really good, as well as new content that I have coming up. Right now, I'm working on a brand review. And the brand review that I'm working on is with Dr. Terry Carell. Now, I think she is a genius at what she does, but there are certain things that she has done consistently that I think you guys can borrow, steal. Certain strategies that she has employed, I think you can borrow and steal and incorporate into your own strategy. And with these brand reviews, I'm really going to be looking at how they did it, how they grew their brand, where they started from, where they're coming from, where they are now, how they did it based on an external perspective, mind you, because certainly I'm not in her head, I'm not a part of her team, but based on what I see happening externally, I'm doing a brand review. So that's coming up. I'm doing app reviews, telling you about softwares that I think you guys should test and try. Like I found out about a software called LinkedIn. Like when you're sharing a link in Instagram, you can put the link in Instagram, but when you click the link, especially to YouTube, it takes you to the YouTube, www.youtube and not app YouTube. I found a link that actually when you click the link, it takes you directly to the YouTube app. Now you still look at things like that make marketing easier. It just make your life easier, and it reduces the friction between you and your audience and an engagement between you and your audience. Yeah, love stuff like that. So I have over the last 4 years been creating a hell of a list of tools and software and stuff that I use that has just made my life easier, especially when you're running your own brand and you're the head cook, bottle washer, graphic designer, video editor, all these things. Yes, I like processes and systems and softwares and tools. So I'm going to be telling you about this. There's a lot of things that's going to be happening over on the Digital Learning Hub YouTube channel that I'm also going to be launching. So look out for that as well. Anyways, I think I've talked enough. Guys, thank you so much for being here. And I will see you guys next week when we're talking about cosplaying in Jamaica and anime. Take care. Until then, bye.